Russell Wilson is going to the Giants. Stefon Diggs is going to the Patriots. We finally had some more free agency action on Tuesday, and there are plenty of ripple effects to all of it. NFL Spotlight starts now. Welcome in. It is the Wednesday, March 26th edition of the NFL Spotlight Show. I am your host, Ari Meirov. A very, very busy Tuesday around the NFL. Quickly, a reminder, yesterday we had our weekly Spotlight Guest of the Week. We were joined by Broncos defensive lineman Zach Allen, one of the most underrated interior defensive linemen in the NFL. Really great conversation with him. If you have not listened to that one yet, go back one episode on Apple, Spotify. You can find it on YouTube, on my X page. Go listen to it. Go watch it. A really good conversation. But as for today, Tuesday was quite hectic around the NFL, specifically Tuesday night when we finally had some action that we have been waiting for. We're going to talk about all of it here right now on the show. Let me bring in my good friend Ben Allen. Ben, what is going on? It was quite the Tuesday around the NFL.
Yeah, I know. It seemed like things weren't going to be that crazy. And then all of a sudden we get this here on screen. Russell Wilson going to the New York Giants. We wondered what exactly they were going to do. They had just signed Jameis Winston to that 2-year deal. They've got the third pick in the upcoming draft. Didn't stop him from going out there and signing the former Seahawk, Broncos, Steelers quarterback Russell Wilson. It's just a 1-year deal. It's going to be $10.5 million guaranteed, but can go all the way up to $21 million in total with the incentives. Russ is the week one starter, barring any wacky injuries or anything like that happening. But what do you think were the expectations that were laid out to him before he signed?
Well, a few things here. First of all, week one starter, definitely with the money he's getting right now on his current depth chart with him and Jameis and Tommy DeVito, I would say he is the week one starter. But I think this is a situation where you mentioned they still have the number 3 overall pick, and that still looms over all of this. But when they signed Jameis Winston on Friday night, and we spoke about it over here earlier this week, we mentioned that signing is just the beginning for that quarterback room. Like, they had to add somebody over here, and Jameis Winston was the guy they signed to give them flexibility to add another person, whether it's a veteran, a rookie, or both. And over here, they go out and they sign Russell Wilson to this deal. 1 year, $10.5 million of it is guaranteed. But this is still a situation where they very much could go out there and use a draft pick, whether it's a 3rd overall pick or at the top of the 2nd round, or trade back into the 1st round. Like, all those options are still available over here to the Giants. The one thing that is kind of clear, and we kind of figured this out over here when Aaron Rodgers took that visit to the Steelers on Friday, the Giants kind of got a hint and a belief in that building that while they wanted Aaron Rodgers, it looks like they're essentially out of that running. And that's why they have essentially now pivoted to signing Russell Wilson. Of course, they signed Jameis Winston as well. And that is their current quarterback room right now. But when you look at this entire Giants offseason and what it's been, it's hard not to just say that this is an offseason where they've been kind of forced to make decisions because they feel the pressure to win this year or else. We know that they retained GM Joe Schoen. They retained head coach Brian Daboll after the season was over. Their owner, John Mara, put out a statement that they're going to stay. But when John Mara spoke to reporters after the season was over, there was one thing he said that was clearly a hint to the head coach and GM that you better fix this now or else. And we're going to play it here on the screen.
What will it take to improve the product, John?
It better not take too long, Bruce, because I've just about run out of patience.
John Mara says it better not take too long because I've run out of patience here with this team. And that is Joe Schoen, Brian Daboll. You guys better fix this in 2025 or else. And we've seen the Giants this offseason. They were pursuing Matthew Stafford. At one point, they thought they were getting Matthew Stafford, and they believed if we get Stafford in this building and the free agency we're going to have, we're going to win in 2025, and we're all going to be safe. Of course, Stafford goes back to the Rams. Then they had this pursuit of Aaron Rodgers, which they were really going hard at him, and they were really interested in him. But clearly over this last week, they realized we're probably not going to get him. So now they got to move out of that. We heard all the rumors and rumblings about they're going to trade for the number 1 overall pick. They're going to get Cam Ward, who hands down for most people in the NFL, executives and scouts, they all believe he is QB1 in this draft. And of course, over these last couple of weeks, we realized Cam Ward is probably going to be going number 1 overall, and it's going to be to the Titans. So the Giants are like, that's probably not happening as well. Now here they are scrambling again, and they've gotten to this point where they're signing Jameis Winston. Now we have him. And let's also sign Russell Wilson. Now we also have him. And now we have this number 3 overall pick as well. Maybe we'll take a quarterback there. And it's a whole just mess over here of a bunch of quarterbacks and guys inside of a quarterback room. I mean, if you draft a guy at number 3, Russell Wilson right now is going into this team, into this situation, expecting to be QB1. And if you think he's going in there to mentor the guy and be like, yeah, take my job over here and it's going to be you're the future, that is not Russell Wilson's mindset. Like Jameis Winston, the contract he got, he's somebody who has done it before. Like he might have been willing to do it over here. If he does not get the starting job, he'll settle for the backup job. Russell Wilson is going into all of this wanting to be the starter, and it's going to be his job, and he wants the job, and it's nobody else over here. So the entire quarterback situation with the Giants, it's so interesting to see how it all evolved throughout this offseason. And I think ownership just publicly going out there and putting that pressure on them by saying they better turn it around quick because I'm running out of patience. Like they signed in free agency Javon Holland, the safety, after last year letting a different safety, Xavier McKinney, go because that's not a non-premium position. But now this year you're paying a safety. Paulson Adebo, great player, young player, ascending player, also missed a lot of time with an ankle injury. Was he really worth that much money? So the Giants in the offseason they've had, it's kind of a lot of panic moves to make sure they win in 2025. And right now, this quarterback room, if we're being honest, this was not option A, B, C, or D for them. Like this was, they're really going down the list of it to try to find people to what to do with this quarterback room. And it really all stems from the fact that they survived, good for them, but the ownership putting on that pressure that you better turn this around in 2025 has put them in this awkward position and a tough position of where we better figure this out right now. We're not even thinking about the future of 26 and 27 right now. We're more focused on 25 and maintaining our job. So just seeing how this is all unfolded over here, it's not the way you probably want your organization to run, but that's the way it is right now with the Giants.
Okay, so now we've seen the Giants. They've got 3 quarterbacks in the room. Is there a chance that they go out and add a 4th guy, say, why not bring in an Aaron Rodgers or go out there and draft a Shedeur Sanders, albeit if he's there with the 3rd pick?
So the we'll take these two separately over here. So the Aaron Rodgers thing, obviously this takes them out of this. Aaron will never sign there with all these guys there. So Aaron's situation is pretty clear now. Obviously, we learned last week the Vikings are unlikely to go in that direction right now. The Steelers met with him. It clearly was a very productive meeting, and Mike Tomlin is pushing for it. So it does sound like the best case scenario for Aaron Rodgers right now. And again, he works in his own world. He might sign in 10 minutes from now. He might sign in 10 weeks from now. I don't know when it's going to happen, but Aaron Rodgers with Pittsburgh makes the most sense over here, and that could happen at any point over here, barring something insane. As for the Giants at number 3, they're going to keep on telling us that this does not take us out of the quarterback situation. Obviously, we think Cam Ward is going number 1 to Tennessee. We don't know where Shedeur Sanders is going in this draft. Will the Browns take him at number 2? Will he be there at number 3? But this is a situation where, again, you're just going to have a bunch of Russell Wilson there, Jameis Winston there, and now you're going to add Shedeur as well. Again, Russell Wilson, if he's there, like he's acting as if he is the starter of the year and he's the guy. So it's a very interesting situation throughout all of this. I wonder if you guys really wanted to draft a quarterback and take one at number 3, what was the reason to rush now and sign Russell Wilson to this contract? Like there were no other teams of the year that were pushing aggressively to get him back. We said this last week. Going back to Pittsburgh was essentially dead. There were some fractured relationships there with people on that staff. Cleveland, they're interested, but it was not like we got to get this guy right now. They're also keeping an eye on the Kirk Cousins situation. They also have the number 2 overall pick. So they were now rushing in all of this. So the Giants going out there and signing Russ now to this contract does make me question a little bit if they are truly in love with QB2 and QB3 in this draft to take them that early. Maybe they slide back. I don't really know exactly where this is going to go. Obviously, the more time we have over here as we get closer to the draft, we are going to get more information and truly hear what's real, what's not. This is the time of year where everybody is lying to each other, but it's a fascinating situation. It also creates a crazy conversation that is going to start taking over all the headlines out there. If Shedeur does not go number 2 and Shedeur does not go number 3, where does he go? And that is something that could be crazy if we see him sliding a little bit. So the ripple effects to Russell Wilson signing now with the Giants and the Giants also signing Jameis Winston really creates a lot of questions over here when it comes to the NFL draft. I saw all the reporting out there. Everyone is saying the Giants could still take a quarterback at number 3. I just question if they're really going to take a quarterback at number 3. Why are you signing Russ now? You could have waited till after the draft. I don't think there was any team out there that was true competition to sign Russell Wilson right now, that you had to do it today over here on March 25th. So we'll see where this goes. But I do have some of my doubts over here that they're for sure going to take a quarterback at number 3. I could see them taking Travis Hunter. I could see them taking Abdul Carter. I think it's truly now wide open for the Giants at number 3 overall.
So we obviously saw this signing happen. And then, like, what was it, 30 minutes later? I don't even know if it was 30 minutes later. Stefon Diggs decides, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and sign up with the New England Patriots. He obviously met with them last week. We wondered, we talked about it. Does this preclude any opportunity from him going to the team? Nope. He's signing with the team, 3-year deal, $69 million. Only 26 of it, though, is guaranteed. How do you see Diggs fitting in with this Patriots roster that still really is trying to find their footing?
Okay, first of all, let's make sure we address the contract first. 3 years. It sounds like this is an up to $69 million situation. So in order to make all that money, it's a lot of incentives as well. The $26 million being guaranteed tells you the full story. This is more of a, again, I'll get the full details here in the coming days. I always try to get my hands on the actual contract. What's really guaranteed? When is there an out? When could the team get out of this? This does not sound like a real 3-year, $69 million deal. Let's just say it like that. Maybe I'm wrong. We'll talk about it here in the coming days when I get my hands on the real contract. But for now, there is some fishy stuff over here of the way these numbers really look. But the overall situation, Stefon Diggs, we talked about it earlier this week, took that visit with the Patriots. It was more of a get to know you. Who are you? Do you fit in the culture? Could you fit with Drake May? Where are you medically? He tore his ACL late October around week 8 versus the Colts. And it's like the one thing the Patriots came out of that was, first of all, Stefon, obviously a very competitive guy. He's not a bad guy, just he really wants to win and he really wants to be out there seeing success. But the other thing about him is that he is really ahead of schedule in his recovery from the ACL. Earlier this week, he did post a workout video, which we saw, but their physical and their doctors, the sense right now that Stefon Diggs is somebody who will be ready for the start of the regular season and potentially could be out there for training camp as well. And at that point, could potentially somewhere in that range be full go. So he is ahead of schedule in his ACL recovery. And that was a big part of all of this. But Ben, we've spoken a lot about the Patriots and the receiver room and how they have swung and missed over and over and over again. Go back to last year. They tried to sign Calvin Ridley to a big deal. That did not work. They tried to trade for Brandon Ayuk. That did not work. They offered him the most money. Brandon Ayuk was like, nah, I don't want to go there. They tried to trade for Deebo Samuel on draft night before round 2. That also did not work. This offseason, they were very interested in T. Higgins. The Bengals were like, we're not trading him. They offered Chris Godwin crazy money, way more than what he accepted in Tampa Bay. Chris was like, nah, I'll stay in Tampa Bay. So they've been trying for a long time. It's not for a lack of effort, but it was at some point someone was going to take the money that the Patriots were offering. And Stefon Diggs definitely did not have the market that he was expecting to have. Of course, the injury did not help, but he was really productive with Houston during those first 6 or 7 games that he was with them. I think he was top 10 in reception, was on his way to 1,000+ yard season. So he still got it. And he is somebody who has worked with young quarterbacks over the years, whether it was Josh Allen early in his career in Buffalo, and of course last year, CJ Stroud in his second year in the NFL. Now he enters that bit of a similar situation of being in the second year in the NFL with Drake May, and they want him to be the guy of the receivers, the number one guy for them. They might still add somebody in the draft, but this is a wide receiver room that was just so young and inexperienced and needed somebody who's been there, done that, showed them the ropes. And Stefon Diggs will be that guy for them this upcoming season. So medically, things are checking out. He's going to be their guy moving forward. And again, I don't think they're done when it comes to the receiver room. I expect them to draft somebody here in the first couple of rounds here next month in April when the draft rolls around. But they've been looking for that dog, that number one guy, the veteran guy, and they finally found it in Stefon Diggs, who gets a nice contract here. But again, we will get the real contract details in the coming days, and I'll let you know what it really is.
All right, and finally, let's talk about the other signing that happened earlier in the day. Chidobe Awuzie is going to the Baltimore Ravens on a one-year deal after getting cut by the Tennessee Titans. He'll fill the role left by Brandon Stevens, who left in free agency. Can you explain to the viewers, though, why this is a very Ravens move and what this has to do with comp picks?
Yeah, I mean, this is a classic Ravens signing. And the Ravens, every single year, they're one of those teams who take the compensatory formula pretty seriously. They try to get as many draft picks as they could because their own players leave in free agency. And what the Ravens have excelled at over the years is signing players on the free agent market who will not affect that formula. The way that works is if you're a player who is released by a team, if you sign that player whenever it does not affect the formula. And over the years, we've seen the Ravens sign, Jadeveon Clowney and like Kyle Van Noy, and there are endless accounts of them doing this over the years where they just get a player who is released and bring him in. And that guy has a lot of production for the team. A couple years ago, I remember when the Eagles were planning to release Darius Slay, they were going to be ready to sign him. And of course, the Eagles got him back before releasing him. So this is something that the Ravens always do. And Chidobe Awuzie, he was released by the Titans earlier this offseason, even though they still owed him over $7 million this upcoming year. He was just not a fit last year in his first year of them. They just moved on from him. And here, the Ravens signed him, and because he's still owed money by the Titans, they're also getting him on a minimum contract here for this upcoming season. And the cornerback position was a need for them. I think they're also going to address it over here in the draft at some point. But adding Awuzie, a seasoned veteran who has been, was really good in Dallas, was really good in Cincinnati, was a little bit injured last year in Tennessee, and for the most part was not a great fit with that defensive coordinator, Denard Wilson. They essentially now get him on a minimum contract, and they still have their comp picks for losing a player like Brandon Stevens. They also have a 7th-round pick coming their way in the compensatory formula. So right now they're projected to get a 5 and a 7, and adding Awuzie will not affect that either. So this is a classic Baltimore Ravens signing. It's a player who's going to help them. He's cheap. He's going to play. And they get him on this team right now, and it does not affect any of their other free agency stuff going on with that team.
All right, Ari. That's all I got for you today. Make sure you guys go out there, subscribe on Apple, Spotify. Make sure you're following Ari on X. Go to YouTube. Make sure that you have notifications turned on, all that stuff. It's a great place to go back and watch all our Spotlight episodes in a very easy, very searchable location. And yeah, Ari, that's all I got for you.
Yep, that will do it here for our Wednesday, March 26th edition of the NFL Spotlight Show. Like I said at the very beginning, if you missed our Spotlight interview of the week, go check that out. It was Zach Allen, the Broncos defensive lineman. And we will be back here tomorrow morning talking more NFL, some more NFL draft stuff as well, the draft in under a month, and much more. We will see you all here tomorrow morning.